welcome to this episode of Discovering Laguna Woods. I'm Cyndee Whitney, and we're going to be spending some time today speaking with Robert Reyes, and we're going to be enjoying his collections because Robert is also known around the village as that guy that had the foresight to buy all those Barbies. So, yep, we're going to be spending some time with Barbie and Ken and Midge and Skipper and Valerie and Kara and Kylie, and you get the idea. So stay right there, and we're coming right back with Robert Reyes. So I am here now speaking with Robert Reyes, and we're going to be learning all about what Robert has been doing for quite some time. So hi, Robert. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. This is an environment that I have no knowledge of, and it's so exciting to hear all of your wonderful stories. So you let me know that you haven't been collecting Barbie, which we kind of know you for now, for until recently, only a few years ago, but you've been collecting all your life. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. My grandmother and I, when I was 7, we used to go to thrift shops, and I started collecting antiques and miniatures. And then we came to Knott's Berry Farm, and then I fell in love with a Mott's Museum, and that's what started the collection of miniatures, antique toys, dollhouses, and then eventually Barbie came into the picture.
Now you were going and you were seeing these things. How did you collect them? Were you inspired by those things that you saw and then said, where can I find those for that I can have?
That's right. When you're a 10-year-old, you don't have a budget. So I started creating and making things with wire or home objects, like the cap of a Colgate toothpaste
Yeah.
became the top of a lamp. So eventually I would cut the grass or pull weeds from the neighbors, and I would get money. We would go to a Hobby Lobby or Michael's or a thrift shop, and then I would actually buy something like a table for $3, which was a lot of money back then
Ooh,
for a 10-year-old.
I agree. So it's kind of like mixed media. You had some things that were real art objects and you sort of put them in a world that were found objects.
Exactly right. You have to be super creative. Eventually, like now, or the past 20 years, I had adult money and I was able to purchase the real thing, actual antiques from the 1800s.
Spend adult money on toys. I think that's a great idea.
Right. I'm just a kid with a lot of adult money. So,
Well, by the way, I think it's paying off because there's some investments that you've made here that are absolutely astounding, and we'll get to that in a minute.
sure.
So Barbie, now I've said that you are the person with the most foresight in the world for collecting Barbie, and now there's a film out and so forth. There's a lot of renewed interest. What do you feel about that?
I think it's exciting. I'm a historian, and I love American history, and the fact that Barbie is an American icon. The first Barbies I consider a work of art. They're beautiful. At the beginning, I just didn't understand collectors and people who love Barbie until I bought my first vintage Barbie 7 years ago from a thrift shop that my friend owned. And it was just a simple Barbie from the 70s. And then the owner told me that the Barbies were worth at least $10,000, and I started doing my research. Then COVID hit, and I had all the time in the world, and that's when I started actually collecting number one, number two, and number three, which are the most expensive Barbies. And I did pretty good, pretty good. Now they're worth, one just sold for $48,000
Oh my
in auction.
goodness.
Yeah.
Well, it's one thing to collect something because, there's the possibility or the potential for it to
Mhm.
become, wildly successful and desired at some point. But then the movie hit and look what happened.
It's amazing. I collect it because I love collecting and I just want to save things, for the next generation. It's like, why is it possible that a dollhouse from 1890 is still around? Somebody cared for it. And when I saw these Barbies, I realized that they were something very special. And then I started doing the research, and I realized how important it was. It was Ruth Handler who created this, and she had to stand up and fight all the men around her because they didn't believe in her, and she's the one that created Mattel. And so, with that said, I want to continue that. I want to pass these items and treasures to the next generation.
Yes. I think Ruth Handler's story was a little bit similar to Walt Disney's in that he went to the Tivoli Gardens as a place where his children were playing, and he said, I'd like to make a park like this, but where the parents could,
Hmm.
join their children. And so he came and built on something that he had seen in Europe. And Ruth Handler did that too, didn't she, with a doll?
That's right, she did. She had a concept, and the guys weren't getting it. So the whole family, the Handler family, went to Switzerland, and that's where they found the German doll, Lily, right? And then so she bought one, and then she brought it back, and they started understanding her concept. And they said, it's not going to fly. She looks like a woman. She has the private parts of a woman, the breasts, and we're not comfortable with that. But she was right. She was
Yeah, I
right.
bet she went out and did some marketing on her own and showed that to little girls, and they said, "Yeah, we want that. I want to play with that." And we talked a little bit about the breakthrough socially that Barbie did too, because I remember at that age we were all little girls and we were playing with baby
Mhm.
dolls and we were playing the nurturing other, to baby dolls, and all of a sudden this doll came out who's in a uniform and a ball gown and a this and a that, and we're all saying, I don't want to do this, I want to be that. Yeah, I
Right.
mean, did you feel that too when you first saw them?
Yes, I did. It was almost like she's more than a plastic silly doll with a silly pink house, and the movie captured that. It's amazing. I was so mad at the movie. I was literally about to cry because at the very end it was like they killed Barbie. How can you do that? I mean, they didn't literally kill her, but she was
No, we
gone.
can't
She
say
she
that about the movie.
she didn't want to be Barbie anymore. It's what I interpreted the movie. So I had to watch it 4 times. I finally got the message, and the message was that Barbie was an astronaut, she was a doctor, she was a lawyer, she was everything. And the final adventure to conquer was being human and the pain of being human. Oh, it was so
Yes,
good,
I know,
right?
and it's funny that Mattel put that movie out because it's really kind of being kind of it's self-critical in
Yes,
some
yes.
respects, and
Right.
yet they did it anyway. I thought that was so brave.
Right. Oh, it was great. It was a smart movie. They made fun of themselves.
Yep,
And like I said, if you don't like Barbie, you're going to like the movie. And if you love Barbie, you're going to love the movie. And it's so
exactly.
smart in so many levels.
Yep,
So you have to
yep,
really watch it a couple of times.
yes. Well, we're going to step over to some of your areas now, and we're going to take a deep dive into some of the products and the beautiful artifacts that you have here. So let's take a look over here. So we're over here at this section of some dolls that had sort of interesting aspects about them. Could you tell us about a couple of these,
Yeah,
Robert?
sure, sure. After the one, Barbie number one, two, three, and four, and then they have five, six, and seven, right? It was 1962, and they just focused on a new box that told you exactly what outfit you were getting with it. And then after that, they introduced a new Barbie with new plastic that was bendable. And what they did is they introduced a promotion called Trade In Special. Let me show you this one from the 1970s. And you would trade in your old Barbie for a new Barbie, and you would only pay $1.99 as opposed to $3. What happened was Barbie number one and number two. Number one, they only made 250,000 of the Barbies in the world, and only maybe 2,000 are left in the world. So their value is up because of the trade in. During this time, they said if you trade in your old Barbies, you're going to get a bendable one for 199, and that's why we only have 2,000 left in the world.
So what became of those traded in Barbies?
Good question. Some of them were donated to orphanages, hospitals,
Oh.
and the rest were thrown away.
Oh.
Oh,
Oh,
right.
oh my goodness.
Yes.
Well, there is the value going up
Right,
because of the
right.
scarcity.
Yes,
Yes. Okay.
yes.
What else do we Who is this? Mod hair.
The mod hair.
Chicken
Let's
mod.
start with Twiggy. She
Okay.
was really a
Oh.
famous
Oh.
artist. Yeah. A model from the
Yep.
1960s. And then this one's interesting. This was 1970. And they had, Mattel had a CEO about 10 years ago from the Middle East, and she did an amazing job. And she said that this was the ugliest Barbie that Mattel ever created, but don't
Oh.
tell anybody I said that.
Oh.
Right.
I think she's
Right, I think so too,
beautiful.
right?
I
Maybe
think they're
it's
all
not up to
beautiful.
par, but anywho's, but this
Well,
one's great. I like Ken. You know, poor Ken.
mod
But
hair.
mod hair, yeah, he has stickers actually. His hair's right here, and you can change his style.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
Yeah, there
goodness.
you
And he gets a
go. He has
mustache
a
and a goatee.
mustache, a goatee, has different styles, right?
Oh, that's too funny.
That's,
That's funny.
this one's interesting. Growing up, Skipper, that was only on the market for 2 days because you spin her arm, and as you're spinning her arm, her breast grows. She becomes a teenager
She was
right before your eyes.
she was featured in the movie. I thought that was very
She
hilarious.
was, right. And Mattel also introduced a Ken in the late 70s, early 80s, and he was, they didn't know he was a gay Ken, so they pulled him off the
Oh,
market because he was wearing certain jewelry that was not
oh,
appropriate.
for heaven's sakes.
Yeah, so they did make a few
Well,
mistakes.
not well. They were trying to reach out and make
Right.
things that were important to people, and
That's true.
so
Maybe it wasn't a
when
mistake.
was the first Ken? When was he
He was
released?
introduced right after Barbie.
Oh,
They created a fan club, and right, yeah, and about a year or so after they introduced Ken.
oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
1961, 62, and all the little girls who belonged to the Barbie Club requested a boyfriend for her. Now,
Oh,
a good point is the dream house, the original
yes.
dream house, did not have a kitchen
Ah,
because
God.
she's not going to cook for anybody. She's not getting married. She's not taking care of anybody but herself.
Would you
Which
would
is
you have
great. Good
would
for
you have
her.
loved to have been in that product development meeting when
That
somebody decided to do that?
that would have been amazing, right? That would
I
have been
think so.
amazing,
I think so.
unbelievable.
Well, we have some other
Hmm.
high fashion Barbies over here.
Right,
Can we
right.
take a look at
Sure,
those?
sure, sure. It's interesting. Mattel finally realized that adults were really getting into Barbie,
Oh,
and were willing to spend a lot more. In the hundreds to thousands. So they started a partnership with designers. They had Ralph de Lauren, Givenchy, Vera Wang, and the list goes on. Even what is it, Bob Mackie?
yeah.
Right. So here we have an example of couture, and toys represent the era. So if you have a toy, you'll learn a lot from the culture of that period. And you can see the different styles through the ages and the design. Good taste lasts forever, right? And then you see the quality.
Yes.
They started with just your old typical plastic Barbie, and then they moved up to porcelain, the silkstone, and these are worth $400 to $500, if not $800. And the clothing is designer. I was told by Mattel that when they work in a very specific doll for adults, it takes between 15 to 20 people to work on her.
Yes.
Isn't that crazy? I
Yes.
know.
Yes.
Designers, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly. Well, everything is perfect because the hairstyle, the makeup of the era, the jewelry, the accessories, the fabrics that were used for the garments and the stockings and everything.
Right.
Well, it was just perfect.
It's interesting because these they're actual mink
Oh,
coats for Barbie. If they were original Mattel, they would be worth $4,000. But these are not. These came from Alaska. I mean, no, I take that back. Canada. They're
oh,
Canadian, and they're still mink, but they're not by Mattel. But they were designed for Barbie.
oh, I see.
So
Now,
she
are
does
are
have the real
these
thing.
rare? Are these out? Are there others of these?
Yeah, these are not rare. There's still some in the market,
Uh-huh.
but they are expensive, and
Mm,
they're limited
okay.
edition. So there's still a few around, but they're not as rare as the original Barbies.
Wow, those are spectacular. Those are just
Thank you.
spectacular.
It's
All
just
right.
beautiful. You want to see a dress?
Yes.
This is like one of my favorites.
Oh,
Isn't that
oh my
crazy?
goodness.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, look at all of
Isn't
those
that
little
amazing?
applique roses
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just
And
the
the jewelry is
detail.
specifically designed for her.
Is this a limited edition?
It really is. It is. They make maybe 1,000 of these.
Oh my gosh, that's
Right.
beautiful.
Yeah. And when you asked me if they were rare, they're becoming rare. People aren't taking care of them, or they move away, or they pass away, and people don't
Sure,
appreciate what
sure.
they have.
But things just deteriorate when you
Yeah, that's
store
true.
them.
Yeah, that's
People
true.
don't.
Hmm.
And we have a lot of stuff now, and we just don't know.
Right.
Well, these are
Yeah.
spectacular.
Let me show you one of my favorites.
Yes. Oh my
Isn't that
gosh.
amazing?
Look at the detail on that.
Right? Look at the jewelry and the face. And this is very rare, and it's never been removed from the box, so there's a lot of value. All these in here in the box have never been removed.
Yeah. Well, I think if a parent bought that for a child, they would say, okay, you can look at it, but don't
Right,
ever play with it.
right. And that's what happened with my number ones. I had some mint condition number ones, and one of them was specifically designed for store displays, and it came in a pink box. And when the promotion ended, the owner of the store gave it to his niece that was turning 15. And she said, I'm too old to play with Barbie. So what she did is she just put it in a shoebox and put it in her dresser. And it stayed there for all these years.
Oh, that was so
Right.
smart.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
didn't even realize what she was doing. She was
Yeah.
preserving
I
it.
was like the second owner,
Wow. Wow.
besides the antique dealer that sold it to me.
Well, before we run out of time, I want to look at some of your doll houses or your
Oh,
house,
sure,
your
sure,
miniature.
sure.
I don't even know how to define them. They're just so
There,
wonderful.
there's a difference between the antique doll houses and miniatures,
The
the miniature
miniatures, the
world.
miniatures. All right, well, let's see if we can get both.
Oh,
Okay,
sure,
all
sounds
right. Okay,
good.
let's go.
Great.
What are we looking at here?
Well, I started collecting miniature Asian items many years ago when I was, again, 14, 10, 14, and we attended that deer park in Buena Park. Do you
Oh,
remember the name?
I don't.
There was an amusement. I can't say it's an amusement park, but there was a place where it was at Japanese gardens with deer.
Oh,
Anyhow, I started collecting these miniatures, and I just kept collecting. And I decided to create a antique Asian store, and I used a prayer box. And
it's
isn't that amazing?
spectacular. And
Right, but
they're so
the
tiny.
shoes, yeah, this is really neat. It's one of my favorites.
Are these all porcelain?
Yes, they are in ivory,
Oh,
ceramic, porcelain, and this is wood. It's a wood carving. This is silk, bamboo. It's a miniature bonsai there.
oh my goodness,
Yeah,
those are
isn't
amazing.
that
And what a beautiful setting for them.
right? It was perfect. Yeah, it was meant to be, I think.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Right?
gorgeous. All right.
And
Let's move on to the larger
sure, oh,
house
sure,
you
sure,
have over
sure.
here.
This is called a mystery box, and FAO Schwartz from New York had an exclusive contract to sell these, but he never told us who made them. Yeah, isn't that interesting? And these are extremely heavy, and apparently back then children had huge houses during the turn of the century, right? Victorian homes. And this is in mint condition. Of course, it's 163 years old, at least, and but it's in the original condition, and it is with the original furniture from the 1800s.
And the wallpaper on
The
here?
wallpaper's original, the flooring's original. The only thing missing here is the doorbell. It has the battery here, the
Oh,
battery pack. Here's the button, but the
oh
doorbell
my
is missing.
goodness.
Yeah.
Now, I'm assuming that only the very, very wealthy children were playing with something like this.
Yes. Oh, for sure, for sure. In fact, when doll houses started becoming popular, that we were talking about the 17th century, 1700s, and they were adult toys, and it was a symbol of privilege, and respect and wealth. So everybody wanted. They didn't have a dollhouse; they had curios
Oh,
with furniture. Eventually, they created a dollhouse, and when they created their dollhouse, it resembled their real home, and they were used for educational purposes. The little girls would be trained on how to manage the servants and
oh,
manage the house, the linens, the candles.
oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah,
Well, I
that
guess
that
that
was their
makes some,
education.
yeah, some sort of sense.
It was
Yeah,
practical, right?
right. And I know it's funny because this is an interesting transition because you are also studying the importance of play in childhood, early childhood. So, how would you reflect on this being a form of play when it's also a form of instruction?
Right, right. Yeah, play is important. The children need to play, but there's different forms of play. You have educational play, you have guided play, and you have free play. And the children were allowed to free play with some adult supervision on Sundays. And they were usually religious toys like Noah's Ark or Bible themed building blocks.
Mm,
And if they had a dollhouse, an adult would be with them just to make sure that they took care of everything and they played
yeah.
properly. right. But in regards to just a free play where it was a free for all, they were not allowed to do that with
Isn't that
these.
funny? And over time, we learned that the free play, the imaginative play, the creative play is so much more important to produce a creative adult.
Yes, that's for sure. Yes.
Well, these are fabulous. Let's go into the other room and look at the other ones that you have where the miniatures are.
Oh, sure. Sounds
Okay, so Robert, please tell me, what are we looking at with these two wonderful places?
okay. So if you remember, Knott's Berry Farm had a museum within Ghost Town, and it was the Mott's miniatures. And my grandmother bought me a ticket, and that's what inspired me to start becoming a miniaturist. And as an adult, I opened boxes and I found all the miniatures that I had been collecting for 30, 40 years. So I started putting them together. Now, this structure right here is from the 1930s. It's German, and it was a restroom.
What?
Yeah, it was a restroom. Back then, you saw the doll houses I had, and they're
Yes.
huge. So they started just creating rooms. They took
Oh,
less space. So I switched everything. I changed it and I turned it into a kitchen, Santa's kitchen. And it's the theme. He's saying, "Oh no, what's happening?" And they're bringing down the tree and they're cooking. The turkey fell out of the stove.
oh,
So
oh.
you can see different things that are happening. And they're going to celebrate Christmas.
That is,
These I made when I was 10 years old with just wire.
oh my goodness. So you
And I
started that
saved them. Yeah.
early in your life thinking I'm gonna appreciate these small items and these wonderful little treasures and maybe someday when I get my grown-up money, I'll be able to to have
Right,
more of them.
right. Yeah, that's right. And then I started collecting different themes. You saw the Asian antique store, and then
Oh,
this is Mexican Mercado. We've
mm-hmm.
all been to Tijuana or
Yes.
border cities and enjoyed all the delicious food and tourist items. So you can see here, especially with the Disney movie. What's that? The name of the movie? Coco.
Oh yes.
Right, and the piñata, and here's the shopping bags, grandma and grandfather. There's the Mexican food there. So yeah, all these items you can literally find in the Mexican mercado.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
it's just spectacular, and the detail, and you can find something every time you look at it. The little sandals and just the different things that you would buy there if going as a tourist,
Hmm.
and taking these things, a little washboard. I mean, just so
Right,
many
it brings
wonderful
back
things.
memories, right?
It
Like, oh, I
does
used to have that, or I remember seeing that when I was down
absolutely.
in Mexico. Yeah, and everything's pretty well proportioned. And oh, let me tell you a little secret. This fruit stand right here is actually from 1930s, and it's a German fruit stand. And I just turned it into a
Oh,
Mexican.
it just works just
Right, it
fine.
worked
Yes,
perfectly.
exactly.
Yeah,
The little
so
watermelons.
I collect, and then when I'm inspired, I put it all together, and it just falls into place. Right now, I'm collecting, and this Christmas, I'll be working on a Christmas store, a toy store. So I'm
Wow.
excited about that.
You must have a very large workspace.
I do. I have
Very.
two storage units.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Because this, you can't just work on this and put it all away and take it out again. You have to leave this all set up. I know.
Right, right. That's right. It takes a lot.
Yes. Don't touch anything. Just put a
Hmm.
tarp over it and come back to it later.
Right, right. Yeah, it takes a lot of mental planning.
Yes.
Yeah, I know
No,
that.
these are wonderful.
Oh,
And they,
thank
they
you.
speak to your attention to detail and your interest in history and your interest in all of these things and then sharing them with people. That's what's so neat about this.
Yeah.
You want to share these with people.
I display them once in a while at the Laguna Woods Village Library, and everybody really enjoys
Oh,
them. They
yes.
really do, and that makes me very happy.
Yes. And you're inspiring people too, because, we've talked about this a little bit. People come here and just say, oh, I'm not working anymore. What shall I do? What shall I do? Where will my interest be? And you give people ideas. They might not do exactly this, but they might do something sort of tangential to this and say, yeah, well, I could do something like that,
Right.
with things that I have.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's right,
Yes.
right. We
Yep.
inspire each other.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Spreading
Yes.
goodness.
Indeed. Well, is there anything that we've missed or anything that I haven't asked you about that you want people to know about what you do and how to maybe they might get started doing something like this?
Just find a passion. Go to thrift shops, go to antique stores and see what you find, see what you like, what you're into. I coordinate the display case at our local library,
Yes.
and I give collectors the opportunity on a monthly basis to display their
I
collections.
didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
Go
my
to the
goodness.
library and you'll see every month. Currently, we have the quilt club, I think,
Oh,
right?
yes.
And we have a lady who displays pencils. Her father collected pencils from the 1910s, and yeah,
Wow.
and she has a pencil collection.
See,
Isn't
you
that
never know.
amazing?
Just go and look in your stuff and see if you have a lot of something or something
Right.
that's really old and see if it has value.
Mhm.
I mean, you just never know.
Right. That's true. That's true. And it doesn't have to have monetary value. So if it's something you like and you love and you collect, you want to collect it,
Right.
keep at it.
But somebody's going to see it and it might evoke a memory.
Yes, for
Maybe
sure.
their first grade experience or their, elementary school
Right.
experience,
Hmm.
and that pencil brings it all back, or
Right.
you never know, or a
Right.
tablet or something that you,
Right.
you
You know,
know.
I'm glad you said that because there's a pencil, and I don't know if you remember, but the Frito-Lay man,
Yes.
he was a
Oh.
rubber bandito.
Oh,
And when we were in
yes.
elementary school, you would put it on the pencil, and he was part of the Fritos chips.
Oh my
And when
gosh.
when you collect toys, you see little things that you remember, like
Right.
Pocket Polly.
Yes.
A tiny
Yep.
little doll.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's fond memories.
Yes. Yes. We've become a
Yeah.
disposable society, unfortunately, and a lot of things just get tossed away. And
It's
yet, if they were
amazing.
kept,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Robert, thank you so much for allowing us to look at your beautiful collections and the things that you are passionate about and sharing those things with us and explaining why you do it. And we appreciate so much your time. And we will look for you in all of these places that you are around the village. And I hope that people look in the Globe and other resources to find where you are displaying some of your work next.
Wonderful. Thank you so
Okay. Oh,
much.
it is our pleasure. Absolutely. So thank you very much. And we will be right back. Well, thanks for joining us today. And we thank Robert Reyes and Patrick Kennedy for allowing us to come into their world of collecting. And we want to thank them very much for their time and expertise. And I hope some of you have been motivated to go to that public storage unit you have and see if you have anything valuable or collectible in there. So thanks for joining us on Wednesday and Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m. on Village Television and anytime you want to on Village Television YouTube. We hope that you're all taking good care of yourselves and everyone around you, and we'll see you next time and every time on Discovering Laguna Woods. Bye-bye for now. Bye, Barbie.